This is one of the most beloved cases in the entire Sherlock Holmes canon, the adventure of the dancing men. If you have ever looked at a simple drawing and felt a shiver down your spine, you will understand exactly why this story remains a masterpiece of suspense over a century after Sir Arthur Conan Doyle first put pen to paper. The story begins in the familiar, cluttered comfort of 221B Baker Street. Sherlock Holmes is at his most eccentric, performing chemical experiments, while Dr. Watson watches with his usual mix of curiosity and patience. Their peace is interrupted by the arrival of a gentleman named Hilton Cubitt. He is a sturdy, honest country squire from Norfolk, the kind of man who seems completely out of place in the dark, foggy world of London crime. But Hilton is terrified, and the reason for his fear is a simple scrap of paper covered in tiny, crude drawings of dancing men. To anyone else, these might look like the idle doodles of a child. There are little figures with their arms and legs in different positions. Some hold tiny flags, others do not. But for Hilton's wife, Elsie, these drawings are a nightmare come to life. You see, Hilton and Elsie have a beautiful marriage, but it was built on a very specific condition. When they met in London a year prior, Elsie told him that she had some painful associations in her past that she wished to forget forever. She asked him never to question her about her previous life in America. Hilton, being a man of honor and deeply in love, agreed. For a year, they lived in perfect harmony at his ancestral home in Norfolk. But then, the messages started appearing. First, it was a scrap of paper left on a sundial. When Elsie saw it, she collapsed in a dead faint. Since then, the little dancing men have been appearing everywhere, chalked onto tool sheds, scrawled on windowsills, and delivered in letters. Elsie is becoming a ghost of her former self, pale and trembling, yet she refuses to tell her husband what is wrong because of the promise he made. Holmes is immediately captivated. He realizes that this is not child's play but a sophisticated substitution cipher. He tells Hilton to return to Norfolk and keep a close eye on any new drawings that appear. He wants Hilton to copy every single one of them perfectly and send them to Baker Street. As Hilton leaves, Holmes's demeanor shifts from curiosity to intense concentration. He knows that these little men are speaking a language, and that language is carrying a threat. This is where we see the absolute brilliance of Holmes's mind. He spends the next few days hunched over his desk, surrounded by scraps of paper. He explains to Watson that in the English language, the letter E is the most common. By analyzing the frequency of specific figures and looking for short words, he begins to break the code. He notices that the figures holding flags are used to mark the end of a word. This is a crucial breakthrough. Bit by bit, the stick figures transform into letters, and the letters transform into a terrifying narrative. The first message Holmes decodes is a simple one. I am here, Abe Slaney. Then comes another. Elsie, prepare to meet thy God. Holmes realizes that the situation in Norfolk is escalating far faster than he anticipated. The messages are no longer just a haunting presence, they are a direct ultimatum. He receives one final message from Hilton that shows the word never. Holmes knows this is Elsie's defiant answer to the mysterious Abe Slaney. He senses that a tragedy is imminent and rushes to the train station with Watson at his side. But the tragedy of the dancing men is that even the great Sherlock Holmes can be a step too late. When they arrive at the Norfolk estate, the local police are already there. The house is in chaos. Hilton Cubitt is dead, shot through the heart in his study. Elsie is in critical condition, having been shot in the head. The room is thick with the smell of gunpowder. The local inspector is convinced it is a tragic murder-suicide. He thinks Elsie shot her husband and then turned the gun on herself out of guilt or madness. This is where the detective's observational skills truly shine. Holmes examines the room and finds something the police missed. He sees a third bullet hole in the wooden sash of the window. He also finds a shell casing outside on the flower bed. This proves that there was a third person at the scene. Someone was standing outside the window, exchanged shots with Hilton, and then fled. Elsie didn't kill her husband. She was a victim of a crossfire, and her own wound may have been an act of despair after seeing her husband fall, or she was targeted by the intruder. Holmes doesn't just want to solve the crime, he wants to capture the killer with his own weapons. He uses the code of the dancing men to write a message. He sends a groom to a nearby farm with a note addressed to Mr. Abe Slaney. The note, written in the stick-figure cipher, tells Slaney to come to the house at once. Holmes knows that Slaney will think the message is from Elsie, inviting him back now that her husband is out of the way. As they wait in the darkened study, the tension is palpable. Finally, a man appears. He is a rugged, dangerous-looking American. He walks right into the house, expecting a secret meeting with the woman he loves. But instead, he finds himself staring into the eyes of Sherlock Holmes and the barrel of a pistol. Abe Slaney's confession brings the whole story full circle. It turns out that Elsie was the daughter of a prominent gang leader in Chicago, the head of a criminal organization known as the Joint. The dancing men were a secret code the gang used to communicate without the police understanding. Slaney was her father's right-hand man and had been engaged to Elsie, but Elsie, wanting a life of honesty and peace, fled America to escape the shadow of crime. She thought she was safe in the quiet English countryside, but Slaney had tracked her down across the ocean. He didn't mean to kill Hilton, he claimed. He only wanted Elsie to come back to him. He had been staying at a local farm, sending her those messages, trying to force her to leave her husband. On that fatal night, she had finally come to the window to plead with him to leave her alone. Hilton had heard them, rushed in with his pistol, and the two men fired at the same time. Hilton died instantly, and Slaney fled, unaware that Elsie would later try to take her own life in her grief. The beauty of this story lies in how Holmes uses logic to dismantle a secret world. He took a series of drawings that looked like nonsense and turned them into a confession. Slaney is led away to face justice, and while Elsie eventually recovers from her wound, the tragedy is that she remains a widow, her life forever changed by the secrets she tried so hard to bury. What makes the adventure of the dancing men so iconic is its blend of the whimsical and the macabre. It reminds us that even the simplest things can hide the darkest intentions. It also highlights one of Holmes's most human traits, his genuine regret. He felt the weight of his failure to arrive in time to save Hilton Cubitt, a man who had done nothing but love his wife and protect his home. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to know what you think. Is the dancing men cipher your favorite code in literature? And do you think Elsie was right to keep her past a secret from Hilton, or did that silence lead to their undoing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown of one of Baker Street's most chilling cases, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of classic mystery and true crime. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next mystery.